Russia has now got to control the Western European area. In order for the Western leg to be formed. Now here is number 2 in the EU, Mr. Juncker, second to top man. We can't let the EU relations with Russia be dictated by the US. That's what he says. What does he mean? What's going on here? Relations with Russia. Europe must improve its relationship with Russia. Why? Because he's terrified of Russia. He's bothered by what Russia's doing. He says, look, we can't get enough help from America, so we better try and get good with Mr. Putin over here. And so here's another one. Francis Hollande, after the terrorist attack in France, the French came to him and said, can you clean up these ISIS who caused the terrorism in France? And if you do, we'll fight with you. We'll support you. Francis Hollande, France offers full support to Russia. Full support to Russia. We'll be allies with you in the Middle East on this. And you see, that's exactly what happened for a little while, and it may still be doing so. Here's a French aircraft carrier passing Gibraltar on the way to the Middle East. Here's the aircraft being taken off to support the Russian forces in Syria against the ISIS. Here's the planes being refuelled and such like. But they weren't the only ones. France was terrified, and Germany was too. German tornado jets to help the French against the ISIS in Syria. And in so doing, help the Russians fighting together. So they're not firmly allied as yet, but the moves are there. Now, let's move on a little further. We're going to look at the feet. What about the feet? Well, there's got to be 10 toes, as in the feet of the image, all right? Excuse me a second. And so, what do we expect to see happening? We expect to see Europe break up. Here is the leader of Luxembourg. The EU could break up within months. Within months. The collapse of the EU is just around the corner, he's saying. Things are really looking bad. We've only got a few months to get things sorted out, or it will break up. And so they go on. Here again is our man, number 2 in the EU, Mr. Juncker. The Europe at risk if the Schengen, that's the open border plan, collapses. He said the European single currency, the euro, will be at risk if the Schengen passport-free travel zone unravels. Things are looking difficult. The area is all breaking up. They've got different attitude to the Arabs. Different attitude to what's going on. Here's Mrs. Merkel. Europe is on the brink of financial meltdown as Germany faces an economic ruin. Incidentally, who does Germany trade with more than anybody else? Russia. Russia. And Russia and her are boycotting each other at the moment. Guess what's happened to her economy? It's gone into deficit. Last quarter, it wound up 2.3 billion euro deficit. Used to boom. I guess VW didn't help either. But still, there we are. Anyhow, her economy is going down. Europe is a bit of a mess. Well, let's see what's going to happen. Let's come back to Brother Thomas. He didn't have newspapers to tell him what was going on. He had the Bible. And he said, no, Europe got invaded many years ago. The wild, semi-barbarous hordes will overspread the countries of the old Iron Kingdom. But the new inundation of barbarians will not be like it was in the times past. Then they lost their distinctive individuality, but not now. Now, it will break up into 10. See, this is what happened in times past. Into Europe, in the years AD 400 to 500, approximately, in came the barbarians, the Huns, the Vandals, the Visigoths, the Burgundians, what we broadly called the barbarians, 10. and broke Europe up into its constituent parts, didn't it? But now we're getting more barbarian types coming in. Arabs from Syria, the Middle East, causing all sorts of strife. And important newspapers, a financial advising, or a newspaper that gives advice to business people, Stratfor, you may have heard of it. You can buy it, and get it regularly sent to you, has this to say, March the 1st. How long ago is that? The shape of Europe of things to come. The Europe of things to come. And it speaks of 7 particular different attitudes. But then it gives different colours slightly for areas that have got a similar attitude. All right? Now Europe, I'll skip this one, time's not with me. But if you go through that area, which is the part of the territory of the old Holy Roman Empire, not Holy Roman Empire, Roman Empire, that area there, and put a number on each of the countries, you've got about 10. 10. And they're saying it's going to break up into that sort of situation. That's their expectation, March the 1st. Staggering, isn't it? And they say the thing that will really escalate it is economics. Germany used to be good, but it's gone negative. France used to be good, but it's gone not so good. A lot of Jews are leaving and going to Israel, and they're pretty good at business, and the economy is starting to fall apart. The only economy that's left that's any good in Europe is Britain's. Boost for the Bradex hopes as Leave campaigns opens up with a huge lead on the EU referendum battle. In June the 23rd, Mr Cameron is going to get the nation to vote whether they stay in the EU or not. And it's starting to look like they will leave. UK Minister warns of a domino effect in Britain if Britain leaves. The unravelling of the European project. Why do people think that Putin's so keen? I know why. He'd like to see Europe break up too.